This is Stars and Scopes with your friend Uma, updated every new and full moon with guidance based on planetary transits in the current sky and extra support from tarot. For accuracy, take a look at your rising sign first if you know it, and do feel free to listen to your sun, moon and rising if you'd like the full picture. If you're interested in your birth chart, check out the readings page at umaruby.com. And if you'd like to support the work, head over to buymeacoffee.com/umaruby and you can buy me a coffee. Finally, if you're a visual learner, look up Uma Ruby Tarot on YouTube and you can watch and learn. Okay, let's take a look. Hello Scorpio and Scorpio rising. Welcome to your horoscope for the new moon in Cancer happening on the 29th of June at 12:52 p.m. if you're in the southern hemisphere with me. So if you want to work with this moon and manifest and call in, you can do that at any time, of course. But if you want to have the visceral experience, I suggest that you do it the night before in the blackness, in the darkness of the night sky. Really let that sort of visceral experience permeate you. I think you'd like it, Scorpio. So welcome to your reading. Here we are. The new moon in Cancer is a moment to rest after the fire explosion that was the full moon in Sagittarius 2 weeks ago. I don't know about you, but it hit me hard. That was a big shift. There was a lot that we had to let go of very quickly, and there was a lot that could not be sort of denied anymore. There was a lot that happened in such quick succession that it kind of, I don't know, I had to sleep for a couple of days. It was pretty intense. So it was a supermoon, so it was quite close to the earth. So that sort of goes to explain, I think that my mum was saying the tides were out, far. Like that, it was a huge pull, a release. So the new moon in Cancer is a great time to take a breath out and to rest in the darkness and to contemplate with our emotions, with our heart space, with our water, and call in what it is that we need from that area to work from love and to move forward from the heart. So the Cancer rules your 9th house. So when we think about 9th, we think about spirituality and publishing and learning and teaching and that sort of stuff. So we think about information exchange and how we can expand our minds and how we can expand the minds of other people as well, how we can share our knowledge with those around us. The thing to do at the new moon is to call in. So if there is some sort of course of study that you're really hoping to journey on, then now would be the perfect time to call in a teacher, to bring in someone around you that can start you off on your journey of learning. It can be a great time to reassess what it is that you thought that you knew and what it is that you now believe. If you've been having a moment of clarity, if you've been sort of waking up to different aspects of life, maybe in terms with spirituality, in terms of that connection to the thing that is greater than our 3D physical experience. If that was something that you wanted to expand upon, then now would be the perfect time to call that in and to ask for it and to see who crops up, who can show you the way. Or if it's something that you're invested in fully already, then how can you journey further? How can you expand that and potentially travel with it, or share it with other people? So that's a nice meaty place to call in some mind expansion, some sharing in that way. The tarot card that lines up with 7 degrees of Cancer, which is where the sun and the moon will be in exact conjunction forming that new moon, is the 2 of Cups, which is perfect. This is a really nice illustration, I think, with the healing staff of Hermes in the center. It's a really medicinal card. It's a beautiful, bountiful love space shared between 2 souls. So here in the 9th, isn't that lovely? That could be you and spirit. That could be you and a student, that could be you and a teacher. There's something cosmic going on here, which is so lovely and has the potential to really expand upon what it is that you know and what it is that you have to offer about the other realms of life. So there's a great care and love in this card too. There's a real gentleness, a real optimism and inquiry and inquisitiveness about this card. So work with those energies when you're working with the new moon and when you're sort of contemplating about spiritual practice, about spiritual learning, spiritual philosophy, also about journeying to find these spaces. Like, where do you need to go? Perhaps you want to go somewhere. You need to leave in order to pick up these lessons, to bring them back. That could be something to call in as well if it was a trip that you were wanting. So that's the moon. There is a difficult aspect in the sky concurrently. All the planets are sort of like scooped up over to this side at the moment. So it's kind of, there's a lot of right angles that we have to deal with every lunation, but that's okay. We can deal with this, especially this one. This is Jupiter in Aries. So Jupiter's at 7 degrees in Aries at the moment of the new moons, forming that right angle pressure. So when we think of the square aspect, it is like it's a pressure. It's a sort of jarring sort of nature. Jupiter's quite optimistic. Jupiter's the positive, supportive auntie. So nothing much to fear here. And with this square, I would suggest that if we think about, we've talked about this card before because there's been a lot of activity over the Two of Wands aspect in the zodiac. So there's some kind of action plan. There's some sort of passion project or a new way, a new draft of something else that has been sort of bubbling away in your periphery. Aries is your 6th house, which is the task at hand. So it's how you show up and chop the wood and mow the lawn and pay the bills and exist in the day-to-day, how you, the details. The 6th house is all about the details of life. So it's about health as well and body. So is there something in your health regime, or there's something about the body, there's something to do with repetition and practice, that there's a new plan forming for you, there's a new way of thinking. You're thinking to yourself, okay, this is how I'm going to approach this part of my life. I'm going to go this way. So Jupiter's here to remind you that as you're questing, as you're expanding the mind and calling in this incredible journey of knowledge, keep in mind the maintenance. Keep in mind of whatever that, that could be maintenance of life. Keep that in mind. Keep the details in mind. So if it is a trip that you're intending to go on, make sure that you've got the money for that. If it is a lengthy course of study, make sure you have the stamina. Things like that. I think that these can work really well together in terms of the 9th and the 6th house. If we think about action plan and moving ahead and going forward, and stamina as well. So maintenance. So this is going to be a really great new moon for you, Scorpio. I can feel it. There's something really generative and something about to kind of burst forth from you, which is really great. That's the astrology. I'm just going to leave it there. That's quite simple. But I am going to pull some more tarot and we can get a more intuitive guide here to see what potentially might be cropping up for you. There's a couple more things going on in the sky, but it's exhausting at the moment. It's been one hell of a month. So we thought eclipse season was over. No, not yet. But Spirit, what messages do you have for Scorpio on this Cancer new moon? Water to water. There's some depth here. There's some shallows. There's the potential for a new journey, a new pathway into learning and teaching. And there's some health concerns too. Not concerns, but just maintenance. So what can you tell me about this? Number 1, the Magician. Lovely. That's the first character that the Fool meets on their journey. In the major secrets of the tarot, the Magician is the first one the Fool meets in a crash and a bang, and then has to spend the rest of the time figuring out what on earth They just saw the Tower. Another major arcana. Big moment. Big moment. And the King of Pentacles. Okay. So I sense that this is, we talk about the Fool's Journey. This is you, Scorpio. You're on your path. You're starting something new. It's going to bring you back to a sense of self. It's going to bring you back to a place of emotional literacy and the ability to communicate your feelings and your feelings of love for others. It's going to be a real soul journey, which I can see quite clearly here, which is really beautiful. I think that there's going to be someone that you'll meet quite quickly on this journey, or perhaps it was somebody that you've been inspired by, that you've been watching and learning from, that has presented themselves to you as a sort of magician. It's sort of like, how do they do that? Like, whoa, like, what a magic trick. How do I make that a reality? How do I bring that down to me? I would be cautious on your journey though, because we have the Tower here. Now this could be, there's no negative cards in tarot. There are confronting cards. The Tower is a moment of absolute intervention. Think of it as like the Eclipse card. It's a moment of intervention that reroutes the karmic path for those that come across it. It's something was built on unstable foundations. Take that as how you will. It could be a persona, it could be a job. In this reading, it could be a pathway that no longer makes any sense to you, perhaps in terms of spiritual practice. Perhaps you're moving away from a particular religion and investing in another. Perhaps you're following a different path that's had to give way, that something's happened that you just can't look past and you need to move on from. This also could be, because we're talking Scorpio, I mean, we're still in the ecliptic axis for you, Scorp. So we're going to be having more eclipses in your sense of soul, in your sense of self, who it is that you thought you were, in your relationships as well. These eclipses can continue happening until July 23. So this could be something to think about. Maybe we're projecting a little further into the future, that on this quest, on this pathway that you wish to follow, come eclipse time, something's going to really happen and almost force you into this new direction. I would be mindful of it, but it's not something that you can control really. Like, the eclipses happen and they happen when they want to. Tower moments happen when they want to. Eclipses happen every 6 months. The positive, as we journey through, there's going to be someone, again, that you come across in your path. There's going to be someone who is incredibly gregarious and generous and generative with their material wealth, with what they have. They are very giving, and they know that it's going to regenerate. So in that way, after this huge experience of this shift of gear, is really what I feel for you, Scorpio. Something quite big. This magician sometimes can be a manipulative energy too. It can be a bit of a shyster. So there's something here that's inspiring for you though. You're sort of thinking to yourself, okay, so how on earth did they do? I wish to know how that works. How do I? And then, your first house eclipse may happen and you may wake up and be somebody completely different than who you were before. And that will lead you to coming into company with this generative, generous, gregarious person that is going to offer you something tangible, that we can sort of bring all of this study down into something of the earth, something that can be worked with here, and something that can set you forth onto a brand new, bountiful path. So in terms of the 6th house, the maintenance stuff, it almost feels almost physical. I wonder if there's a physicality in your work, or there's a physicality in this pilgrimage that you're making. Perhaps you're going on a hike, or you're going. You might be setting off far away. There might be a lot of physical activity that you need to do, which is probably why this tower is coming up. So make sure that you're prepared for that, and then you will come to this clearing and come in relationship with this generosity and with this bounty. The King of Pentacles is a master of the body to a master of health. So I'm kind of feeling if there's some sort of like fitness, they're all related. I think it's health of the mind, health of the spirit, health of the body is really what I'm feeling for you here, Scorpio. All the very best with it. You know, the very first step is this new moon in Cancer. This is the moment where you can ask for it, call it in. If you've been thinking about it for a long time, if you've been really wanting to do this for yourself, then this new moon on the 29th is the perfect time to ask for it. Send that wish out into the ether. Oh, my sand's about to run out, so I'll call it quits here. All the very best, Scorpio. I love you very much. New moon blessings for this one. If you'd like to head over to my website, you can book a private reading with me if you'd like, or you can head to buymeacoffee.com/Uma Ruby, and you can tip me as well if that's something you'd like to do. Yeah, that's it. Take care. I'll speak to you in 2 weeks for the full moon in Capricorn. Until then.